Radio Network.
Nick Saban does not play anybody less than his. He doesn't put anybody less on the field than his very best players.
Bama does what Bama do.
Sorry, I heard a noise. My bad. Somebody just left it on. Left it on my step.
That Colorado defense is definitely underrated, but they ended up pulling it out late. They have one of the players to watch for, Isaiah Spiller.
Oh, it's better. It's better now. Trust me. Like back in the day, there was at least one murder. So I mean, it's better now.
You realize that you're not doing anything to press your case by getting me to go down there. No, man, come on down there. It was only one murder. Yeah, they're only averaging one murder a year.
And shout out to Florida. They're playing them this Saturday. Number 11 ranked Florida playing number 1 Alabama. So I think that's going to be a high scoring game. And
wow. Well played, Colin. Well played. I did not see that was coming. you get a double finger point, one for me and one for Sean. You need to get deep.
Here we go. Get your popcorn ready.
So what's the big thing?
Hey, gang. How y'all doing? How you doing? How are you doing? It is Monday, December the 13th, 2001. Welcome to this week's edition of This Week in SEC Football. I am your host, Mr. Fingers, the mad one. I started saying mad karaoke DJ, but I don't host karaoke anymore. But old habits die hard. Coming to you from Zagner Central. That fella over there. We call him the brother from another, and he has come up with 2 banging T-shirt slogans. He's on a roll. If we keep letting him run, we're going to have a whole merch shop full of his sayings. And we're going to have to give him we're going to have to wind up having to give you 50% of the royalty just because you're coming up with the sayings off top.
Hey.
That's the man, the myth, Colin P. right there. Brother, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Yeah, you never know what's going to come out of his mouth, man. So you got to keep that recording, you know.
Well, never mind. We're not even going to go there. We're starting to go someplace else. We're going to leave that alone. I got the wrong caption up to start the show. As always, ladies and gentlemen, this full show, sponsored by DJG Enterprises and GreekGans.com, your home for all your custom gear. They can make you those insulated tumblers you see up at the top. They can make you the custom Afghans you see down at the bottom right-hand corner. Hit them up today, www.greekgans.com. Thank you, as always, for being a sponsor for This Week in SEC Football. Man, there's been a lot going on this week.
There has, absolutely.
Even though there was only one major game in FBS division, Army versus Navy, I talked a lot of smack. I got my feelings hurt because Army pulled out to a nice sized lead. Navy managed to pull out the win. I'm not even mad because I like Navy as a football team. Their coach has come in and definitely brought about a change in the atmosphere. They have not been as dominant as they had been in years past, but it's definitely changed the atmosphere of that program. I mean, you know how hard it's got to be to coach a football squad when you are taking the best athletes from one of the most highly selective colleges in the United States.
Sure.
I mean, there are schools with stringent admission policies. You know, the Ivy League schools. We always talk about the Ivy League schools. You hear about Duke and Brown and Harvard and Stanford and schools like that are hard to get in. Notre Dame. None of those have anything on the military academies. I mean, you have to have you have to have a letter of recommendation from a senator. You got to basically. Wow. I mean, you had to have a letter of recommendation from, just to get in. It's very, very, very highly competitive to get into these military academies. They only take the America's best and brightest, and so from there you have to pick and go, okay, which out of you guys are the best football players we've got. And that's Army, that's West Point, that's Annapolis, and that's the Air Force Academy out in Colorado. So,
and they're all athletics. I mean, they've been put through the trenches of the athleticism. So,
yeah, all day. So, congratulations to the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland. Not too terribly far from where you are, as the crow flies. By traffic, It's probably like a day and a half. You got to carry a couple extra vials of blood and a box of dry ice, and stuff like nuts and beef jerky and flare guns and stuff in case you get lost on the way.
Hey,
but so yeah, not a lot of college football action going on this week, but
a lot in the news though.
Tons going on behind the scenes, man.
Absolutely.
Tons going on behind the scenes. The coaching carousel continues. I don't know if you heard this. I follow our dear friend Gold and Blue guy, and he gets all the rumors that everybody else gets, but so far he's been spot on. He was the only one that said Lincoln Riley was not going to LSU. He's the only one. Everybody else said Lincoln to LSU, Lincoln to LSU. He's the only one that said Lincoln's not going to LSU. He dropped a nugget about Brian Kelly going to LSU right after Lincoln announced he was going to USC.
Oh, did he?
He dropped a nugget about Cristobal going back to Miami. And this one came out today. It's been about 3-4 hours. Ryan Day is rumored to be leaving Ohio State.
Wow.
To go to coach the Chicago Bears.
Oh, he's going to NFL. Okay.
I don't know how true that is. I have done zero research on it. And this guy is not Nostradamus, but he's been spot on what he's hit so far. And he's got folks that hit him up and drop nuggets on him. So there's a rumor that Ryan Day will be leaving OSU to go coach the Chicago Bears, because we know the Bears are Nick and Delilah, our resident LTF, our LTF co-hosts from another show, the Round Table. They are Chicago Bears fans. So you guys, I'm sorry, I'm just saying, Matt, your coach is not the coach you need. That's not the coach you guys need.
Yeah.
So, but we also know that it's very difficult to make the transition from college football into the pros.
We've seen that. Yep.
And we've seen it.
Urban Meyer.
Spurrier's done it. Urban Meyer's done it. Jimmy Johnson did it successfully. Barry Switzer did it successfully. But a lot of the folks that we've seen that have left and gone to try and coach in the pros, not exactly stellar. While I think Ryan Day is an excellent coach, he probably would be able to connect with the guys a little more because he's not as much of an age gap. So he's not one of those right on the fringe of the baby boomer generation age gap coaches. So he might be able to make something happen, but we'll see. And we don't know if anything's going to come up out of that or not. So
that opens up the other question. If he does leave, who is Ohio State going to target? I mean, like, who else is left? Coaches have been, snatched up left and right, the premier coaches, but you never know. Somebody might be leaving to, transfer to, I don't know. They have something behind the scenes probably. But
yeah, well, I'm pretty sure if that's happening, then there's other moves happening too. You know what I mean? It's like, It's not like Lincoln Riley just jumped up and said, I'm going to USC. All of that work was behind the scenes. It's not like Brian Kelly left. It's not anything like that. It's like these things were in the works. Right. So if what he's saying is true, I'm pretty sure the athletic director at Ohio State is compiling a list with the athletic committee of candidates they would at least like to interview.
And he's got his
although I don't understand though. That's something I don't understand. Why would you leave a program where you had a Heisman Trophy finalist this year? You're in the running for a national championship.
Right.
You had a Heisman Trophy finalist. Was it last year? Was Justin Fields?
Yeah, that was last year. Yep.
You were in the running for the national championship. You basically have laid a foundation that if you continue to build upon, you're going to have a home for a long time. You're going to be nice and comfy, kudos to those guys for leaving, for trying to continue to put themselves in situations where they can better themselves. But history has just proven it's not easy.
No, but I mean, is it to better themselves? I mean, that begs the question. I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? I can agree with Brian trying to dip his toe into the NFL world, but I mean, like all these coaches jumping around like Lincoln and that kind of stuff. You know, I understand it's money, but I mean, I guess you could call that better than yourself. But but it comes up with the question you just raised about, you know, spending some time at these programs, building. I mean, and not necessarily getting to the top, but I mean, you're not too far away from it. Why do you want to leave that all behind? You know.
Let me walk that back. Maybe better yourself is not the phrase I should use. Maybe the phrase I should use is to challenge themselves.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's very easy for a coach to be in a college situation and get comfortable, win a couple of championships, and then rest on that legacy. And as long as they pump out 10 or 11 wins a year, and every other year win a conference championship, they're not going anywhere because they're the best in that division. That's why I have a lot of respect for Nick, because Nick is not satisfied. Nick is like, I want to win a championship every year. If I can't get one every year, I want to win every other year. And he's got 6. He's been there since what? He came in as head coach in what, 2010, 2011?
I'm not even sure.
God, he's yeah, because let's see, he was at LSU, won a championship, went to the league. I think he lasted a season, 2 seasons, and then came back. So, yeah, he's been there at least a decade, and he's got 6 national championships, and is in the running to hoist the 7th.
Right.
So I give him a lot of props because he's not rested on his laurels and rested on that legacy. So.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, he could easily just sit back and, you know, just kind of take the accolades and just kind of cool it out until he retires. But he doesn't. He thrives on domination. You know.
Yeah, absolutely, all day. I mean, one of the favorite terms he likes to use is rat poison.
Right. Well, man, I tell you, somebody said after they beat us, is just it hit me right in the heart. He said, "Yeah, I usually he's talking to the media." He said, "Yeah, I usually call what you guys write and everything rat poison." He said, "But this rat poison is delicious." And I was like, "Oh, Nick, right here, Elizabeth, I'm coming home." I was like, "Man, that just hurts."
Yeah,
it's true. Maybe we took that rat poison, But
anyway. Drinking the Kool-Aid. That's the other thing. That he's very good at keeping his team from drinking the Kool-Aid. Right. It is very rare that when Alabama loses in the playoff or loses in a conference championship, that they made a bunch of mistakes. They were just bested by the other team. Like they weren't 100% their best this season, but they didn't make a lot of mistakes. They were just bested by Texas A&M that day. He keeps those guys focused, laser focused, and grounded. I've seen a lot of teams get to 8, 9 wins and then just get it handed to them at the end of the season because they start thumping the chest and believing the hype and drinking the Kool-Aid. He's good at keeping them from doing that.
Yeah. True.
So here's a question for you then. This is the next question I want to ask you. How do you feel? And we're going to talk about it with the next subject too. How do you feel about the whole deal with all the coaching jumping around? Do you think it's time for the NCAA to maybe take a look at it and start maybe come up with an overarching, I won't say mandate, but some kind of something that says if you're a coach and you're coaching our program and our program still has a postseason, whether it be a bowl game or in the running for a playoff and potentially in the running to play for the national championship, then you must fulfill the obligations of your contract all the way through the end of your contract. I know why that doesn't necessarily work because they've got early recruiting started early this week.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, but I think that's something that maybe needs to look at. That maybe the recruiting needs to be pushed back by a little bit because where are the kids going? They're going to be on holiday break.
Yeah.
It's not going to kill you to wait through January to go talk to these kids, unless there's
Right.
something if any of you are watching this video, whether you're watching live or watching the replay, please feel free to jump in the comments and let me know how that works, because I have not really gotten into the whole recruiting end of it. I'm a regular season guy, look at the stats, look at the box scores, break stuff down and see what I see.
Yeah.
We're both starting to dip our toes into the recruiting aspect, so let us know.
Right.
But I think that should be part of it. I honestly do. Brian Kelly being a perfect example. And he's still getting pummeled.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's still getting pummeled about my family.
Yeah. In my opinion, he should be. I mean, but you know,
no self-respecting Southerner uses instant grits.
Exactly. Take pride in our grits. But going to your question there, I mean, like how would they be able to do that? I mean, I don't even know. I mean, kind of to something similar is we were just talking about before we went live is the bowl games. Like you can't even make your players play in the bowl game. You know what I mean? You can't. There's no rules, no nothing like that. You know, to have them, they fulfill an obligation to make them or have them fulfill their obligation to the team. You know, if that's not going to happen, how can you do that? I mean, it has to be in the contract. I understand because coaches have contracts. I mean, and players, I don't know. I mean, I guess essentially they don't have. I don't know if they have like anything similar to a contract or whatever, but they probably don't. But I mean,
don't worry, I'm coming for the players too. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I'm saying. But about the coaches though, how can you do that? Like, I mean, I don't know how they could actually impose a mandate having saying that they have to. It would have to be a clause in their contract,
That's what I'm saying. It would have to be a contractual clause. And I think that the schools are going to start looking at that, because I have never, ever, in all the time I've been following college football, I've seen a lot of coaches get fired and then have to look for somebody to pick up a coach.
Of course.
But I have
and just kind of have to be incognito and have everything like, unseen by everybody in the public and, basically pull the rug out from everybody. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, the lie they never told out loud. Like we've seen a lot of that this year. Right. Is by the way, y'all, we got shirts for those. We got it's a great shirt. It's the lie he never told. We won't say who it's about, but I mean Boomer Sooner. So but yeah, I mean it would have to be some kind of contractual clause. Like, look, if you coach for us, and you want to take a job, then if we're in the postseason, you're in the postseason. If we're in the playoffs, you in the playoffs, which means that any offers that may be coming your way, then you're just going to have to let them pass you by until, until the season is over. And if there's still any opportunities after that, then by all means feel free, because that leaves a program in the lurch. Stuff like that leaves a program in the lurch in a big way. And then in the case of Notre Dame, like, I think most of the kids from Notre Dame will play in their bowl game, because they made if anybody made an excellent choice was Notre Dame, because they promoted a guy from within the program that the kids were already tight with, that they respect greatly.
Exactly.
But that was the perfect move for Notre Dame to do that, because you see if they had conducted a coaching search and gone out and got somebody the kids didn't like, how many of those kids would either transfer or declare for the draft? A lot.
Yeah.
Or decide to not play in a bowl game. A lot.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, I definitely agree. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that was a great move by Notre Dame. I agree totally. That it brings somebody within and promote him. Obviously he's got the ability to follow Brian Kelly. Because he's been there and he's loyalty. I guess you'd want to say it, but there is none of that.
Yeah, he was rewarded for his loyalty, so that's that's a good thing.
Right.
And then you mentioned about the students. I definitely want to get into that. Since we're talking about the coaching carousel, it's only natural to progress into this. That transfer portal is on fire.
It is hot. With people I never thought I'd see in there.
Right. I mean, just going back to yesterday, those of you that have not been, if you've been living under a rock, Bo Nix declared that he was entering the transfer portal. And then by last night, Tank Bixby followed and said, I'm entering the transfer portal also. So you just lost your starting quarterback and your starting running back. Now I want to talk. Now we're gonna. You know what? Actually, I came up with a little something this week. You know, I did my thing for the grading system. Not that one. I came up with it. Yeah, we hit the wrong one. Came up with a little, the thing we did for the grading system. So we're going to talk about notable names in the transfer portal. So this week in the transfer portal, as of today, we've got Tank Bigsby, who we talked about. We got Bo Nix. Both of them declared yesterday. Bombshell from Max Johnson at LSU. Then we also have a couple of Spencer Rattler going back to win the conference championships over. We already know about Spencer Rattler. We also have Keaton Slovis from USC and Dylan Gabriel from UCF. And then we've got Quinn Ewers from OSU. And Quinn Ewers, as we know, I think Quinn Ewers is going to be the first multimillionaire with the NIL deals, I think. Because he's already bringing money to the table. Because I think he had money in his pocket and never played it. He played a handful of downs for OSU this year.
Really?
I think he's seeing the writing on the wall. CJ Stroud was a freshman,
right?
A true freshman, a Heisman finalist. His job is secure. So Quinn's not going to get to play for at least another 3 years.
Right.
He's got 4 years of eligibility left, which means he would wind up being like Haskins, sitting behind Stroud for 3 years and not getting to play till his senior year. So,
right.
I don't have a lot of stats on him, but let's go ahead and talk about Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers was the high school phenom that forewent his senior year of football to come to go to OSU and play ball. He wound up backing up CJ Stroud. So it's not a red flag for me. It just means Ryan Day saw something in CJ Stroud that he didn't see in Quinn Ewers. But he's going to be transferring to the University of Texas. So I look for the portal to continue, the portal carousel to continue, because Casey Thompson, the Oklahoma City boy who decided not to follow in his family's footsteps, go to OU and go to Texas. So now he might wind up hitting the portal if Quinn Ewers is coming through. So we'll see. We got Spencer Rattler. Not a lot to say about Spencer Rattler. We've talked about him ad nauseum all season.
At length, yeah.
We don't have a lot of. Sorry, man, my shoulders cutting up on me in the back there. We talked about him ad nauseum this season. The Caleb versus Spencer deal. And he wound up being benched, and he only saw, I think he only played 8 or 9 snaps the rest of the season after that. But he's jumping in the transfer portal, which might be the reason for Keaton Slovis from USC to be hitting the transfer portal. Maybe he's hearing the whispers in the wind that Spencer is going to follow Lincoln out to USC.
Right.
The quarterback room is not that deep. I think we had the conversation last year. How do you trust the coach that benched you?
Right.
I mean, maybe he's thinking he's got a better chance of playing out of USC. We shall see. But Keaton Slovis out of USC, the junior, he's played 3 years. He's got 1 more year eligibility left. He's thrown for 7,576 yards. Got a 68.4 QBR. 58 touchdowns, 24 interceptions. 24 interceptions though.
Yeah.
And that's 8 a year. That's a lot. And 50 sacks. Now that 50 sack number, it seems big, but when you think about the scary part of it is that oh no, that's not him. That's the next player I'm going to talk about. Last year, this past season, he threw for 2,153 yards, kind of middle of the pack, with a 65% completion rate, 11 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and 12 sacks. Where does this kid think he's going to go play?
That's a good point. I don't know. That's I don't know. Who would be even like? who would be looking for him? Like, I mean, actually, let me ask you this. So the transfer portal, I mean, like, do these kids have to go to these other teams and try out? I mean, do these teams actually want to pick them? They pick them out of the transfer portal?
I think it's more of a free agency deal. I think the schools think of it as like Tinder for college football.
Oh, you'll swipe right on whoever you want.
So yeah, right, exactly. And yeah, pretty much that's basically how it works. And then if the school is interested, they'll reach out and have them come through, and they'll try and recruit them and blah blah blah. And if they can get a committal out of them, then they wind up transferring to another school. But this kid here has already used up 3 years of eligibility. He's got 1 more year. And let's be real, there's not a lot of room for quarterbacks this year because, like I said, CJ Stroud, he's a freshman. He just finished this year up. Bryce backed up Mac last year, so he's got a couple years left. Georgia, even though Stetson is a senior, I think he still got eligibility because of COVID last year.
Right.
JT's got a year left because of COVID last year, although the rumor is he's going to hit the transfer portal.
I was going to say, since we were talking about transfer portal, I mean, like, it wouldn't really, I mean, that is the rumor. I mean, like, he's touting it, you know.
Yeah, that's the rumor. You got Carson Beck, who's talking about it, you know, that still leaves Carson Beck and Vandergriff, but coming up the back end, they're courting Arch Manning, and I forget what the name of the other kid is. It's supposed to be an absolute beast. Is supposed to be coming in as well. So Georgia's quarterback room stays full. Ever since Kirby took the program over, their quarterback room stays full.
We're quickly becoming running back you to quarterback you. I mean, you know, it's about the same amount of each.
Yeah, he's not going to get a lot of playing time in Alabama because I know Nick has got a couple studs in the stable. We know Nick keeps him a couple studs in the stable.
Oh, yeah.
Auburn will probably be looking for a quarterback because that leaves them with TJ Finley, so that's a possible destination. But, I mean, if you look at Bo Nix's stats, he's played 3 years. He's got a 59.4% completion rate. He threw for 7,251 yards. He's had 39 touchdowns to 16 pickles and 51 sacks.
Does it have rushing yards on there or no?
His rush yards. 869 yards rushing in 3 years. So I knew
it'd be a high number.
So he's been running for his life.
That's for sure. Absolutely.
He's been running for his life.
For sure.
The best year of his completion rating was this past season was 61%. He's got 75% adjusted QBR for 2021.
Right.
That's adjusted against that's his QBR of 240.9 adjusted for strength of schedule. So not too ridiculously bad. I mean, that's a potential destination for him. He could wind up at LSU because Max Johnson transferred out. Max Johnson had 33 sacks. He's a sophomore. He had 33 sacks. He's played 2 years. 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's pretty impressive for a kid. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a program that the wheels just completely fell off after Joe Burrow left.
Yeah.
And he's thrown for 3,884 yards, which isn't a heck of a lot, but a kid coming in, filling Joe Burrow's shoes and throwing for roughly 1,900 yards a year is not terribly bad. His QBR is 62.7. So that's another potential destination because I don't think they're deep at quarterback. I mean, it looks like the move would be for him to maybe try and hit one of these SEC schools where the quarterback situation is kind of hinky.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he could maybe go to he could even go to Vanderbilt. You think about the fact that all of these quarterbacks we've been talking about all season in SEC, good, bad, or indifferent, they've got some stats. Now, a lot of it is garbage time because they're having to throw a lot.
Right.
But these kids can sling the ball around.
Sure.
So,
and that was kind of a question in my mind is like where would Bo Nix and these guys that are entering from the SEC, say Bo and Tank.
Yeah, where are they
would go into SEC or would they try to go outside the conference? Would they have any kind of reason to not want to get out of the SEC? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, you got OSU's not looking. I mean, if we're just talking marquee programs, OSU's not looking. Right. DJ Uiagalelei might. I mean, you maybe could go to Clemson and give DJ some competition.
Yeah,
Miami needs a quarterback because Derek is done for the season, and he wasn't all that great when the season started.
Mhm.
Where else? I don't know, because most of these programs are set. I mean, how many quarterbacks are coming out in the draft this year?
Yeah,
Not a lot.
not a lot.
You're not.
Not like years past. You're right. Yep, not a lot.
Now I do see a goodly amount coming out next year, because you're going to have some seniors that are going to come back because they got an extra year. You got some juniors that are going to make that jump just because the quarterback class behind them. You got Bryce and you got CJ, and those are just two guys I mentioned. Oh, we got somebody in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining. I bet it's Sean. It is Sean.
Yay.
Sometimes these guys just don't want to go back to a marquee team. Your comment got cut short. Give us the rest of it, please, sir, if you don't mind.
We're talking about while he finishes his comment there, but going back to the question I had was like, you went to as far as the coaches go, like, is there kind of a clause in there saying in the contract that you need to fulfill your obligation to the team? Should there be a limit on how many times you can transfer? I mean, I don't know if there is a limit already, but I mean, can you only do it one time? Can you do it two times? I mean, you've got the guy that was in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? He went transfer. This is his second time transferring, right? He's bouncing around. So you've got to find a way.
You're talking about Mathis, who left and went to Temple, and now he's transferring again.
Exactly.
He's a double transfer. What about Tate Martell, that was at Ohio State, and then he left and he went to, I think, Texas Tech, and now he's at UNLV, and he couldn't make the cut at any of them.
Yeah, but I mean, that's my point. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, you have to have a limit on the transfer, right? I would think so.
Well, you would think so. Like maybe like a video game where you only get so many power-ups until you get an extra man or something like that. Crazy. My inner geek came out. There's also, with the NIL, I wonder how long it's going to be before some of these corporations are going to start having clauses in the NIL deals. Like, look, we're giving you a nice little chunk of money. Like the places like Southern California and schools in like Georgia, for example, where you got these large corporations up north, or even like specifically like here in Oklahoma, where it's just Oklahoma, and you get some business to give you like $1.5 million. They're like, look, we're giving you a lot of money, and you're representing our brand, and you're representing our brand here in Oklahoma, and we don't have the capacity to branch out like a nationwide corporation. And we're going to expect that if you sign this NIL, that you're going to be here for at least 2 years. If we see a lot more of this transfer stuff going on with guys that already have this big, that are getting this money, I expect to see that starting to pop up, because I don't think the NCAA, I don't think that's something the NCAA can regulate. And you will play in whatever postseason game you have. And,
that would be the caveat. So I mean, you can do this because if you do this type of thing, I understand.
Now, I don't know if the corporations have the wherewithal to do that, but I would think so, since they're offering them money. Like, look, we'll give you this money, but here's these stipulations. If your team goes to a bowl game, you need to play. If your team is if your team's, if for any reason you sit out for some injury, you can't play in the Senior Bowl, because we see that a lot, where kids will opt out of their bowl game to play in the Senior Bowl because the scouts are all at the Senior Bowl or the East-West Shrine game or whatever it is. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm seeing a lot of that coming. Let's see who else. Slovis. We talked about Slovis already. Now, here's somebody who I think could make a splash in the transfer portal. Dylan Gabriel at UCF. He's a junior, so he's depending on if he gets that extra year of eligibility because of the COVID, that would give him this year and his senior year. He's got a 67.1 QBR this past season. He only played in 3 games this year because he busted his collarbone, but he'd thrown for in that time prior 8,037 yards, 70 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. The biggest glaring thing in his stat line is he's been sacked 50 times, but that's not necessarily on him.
No, exactly.
That's not necessarily on him. And he had 20. He was at 22. He was getting sacked. As a matter of fact, he got sacked 22 times his first 2 years. Both years he got sacked 22 times. He's got no offensive line at UCF, and this kid is still putting up
Still putting in those
8,037 yards.
stats. But it raises
Now-
the question to me. It raises the question to me that you're speaking on these players that have, I mean, a little bit less than stellar stats, and they're transferring. You know what I mean? Do you think they're going to get any better? I mean, like they're not any slouches. I mean, like, what are they trying to achieve when they leave? I mean, more playing time, more exposure. I mean, I can kind of agree with both, but what is their objective for leaving, like high profile programs? You know what I mean?
Because they're not getting playing time. They don't think like they're going to get. It's like the Dr. Pepper commercial. It's like, have you seen the depth chart? I'm 5th. I'll never see any playing time this year. Rico's time is now.
I'm talking about the ones you just noted. I mean, that you just talked about with 67%, passing rating, that kind of stuff.
Well, I think the reason this kid is transferring is because his backup, Mikey Keene, stepped in. He didn't have all that great a QBR, but he threw for 16 touchdowns against 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
And in 9 games, he managed to rack up 1,600 yards of passing. Now, I know that ain't a hell of a lot either.
No, but I get your point about
in his case.
No, I get your point about not getting more playing time, but I mean you throw in the Bo Nix and and Tank, those guys are superstars of Auburn, and they don't want to test the waters, and I'm trying to figure out why. You know what I mean?
Well, I think one of the biggest problems, I think Tank's problem is, Tank has not been impressive with his numbers this year. He was supposed to be a world beater. He only had 5 games all season where he ran over 100 yards, and only 2 of them where he got more than 110. He had 164 yards in a loss against South Carolina in week 2, and then he had 140 some odd yards in a win against Michigan, University of Central Michigan. And those, I mean, he still managed to eke out 1,000 yards, which is impressive. And I'll get to your comment in a second, Sean, which is impressive, but he really didn't. And sometimes he didn't even get as many upwards of 50 yards. I think the problem though is that Harsin did not use Tank a lot it used to be you use the run to set up the pass, and now it's you use the pass to set up, pass, and then you use the run to grind the clock out. And maybe there was a lot of pressure on Coach Harsin to let Bo do what he does, because he's his dad's son, or whoever his dad was there at Auburn.
Yeah.
And
he's a legacy, so let him do what he do.
He's a legacy, so let him do what he do. Yeah. And I mean, Bo put up these, but Bo is so inconsistent. But I would be interested to see what he could do if he manages to make his way onto a team that's got an offensive-minded coach that builds up a good offensive line. I mean, just the fact that Bo Nix threw for all those yards, what that tells me, kid was running for his life. He's been running for his life for a couple of years.
Yeah, imagine what he could do with some protection, right? I mean, like,
Yeah. So Sean's comment is they want to get a better chance to succeed. They also want a new change of scenery, new playing style, etc. And to follow one of that, Tank was solid when you consider the QB and how much Nix ran the ball. He did. I agree with you there, Sean. I mean, he ran for 800 and some odd yards over the course of 3 seasons. So I could see Tank wanting to go somewhere. I still think Tank wants to go somewhere. I could see him coming to Georgia. Because if anybody believes in handing off the ball, or maybe a Michigan, if anybody believes in handing off the ball,
or maybe Florida, since they got a new coach and everything, maybe they're trying to build up some stuff. You never know. Tank can probably go to Florida.
Yeah. And then also, you right on the head, Sean. Outside of Bo Nix and Tank, that's their offense.
Yeah,
that's their whole offense.
That's absolutely
so correct. Auburn is right now looking at a full rebuild. They have a coach that's rolling into his 2nd year with no quarterback, with 0 running backs, unless one of the other running backs steps up. But we didn't see much out of them either. You would imagine if they were good as or better than Tank, they'd get more playing time. Finley is just not it. Finley was at LSU. He couldn't cut the mustard at LSU. I mean, he backed up. He couldn't beat out Max at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? So yeah.
No, I got you. I mean, I agree with everything that Sean said. Absolutely. I mean, I mean, I agree with the change of scenery and the coach and that kind of stuff, but yeah.
Well, you know what, Sean?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No, you're fine.
Finish
No,
your.
I'm good.
I'm not trying to take away from their. I'm not trying to say that their success was, that they had this limited success. I mean, and let's be honest, when you're talking about Auburn has been a slow train wreck in motion all year, and now with the wheels that have been set in motion, I see it being a bigger train wreck next season. So I 100% agree with you on that. With that regard, I still, like I said, I'd be interested to see what they get in a different scenario. And there's some coach out there somewhere that's going to pick them up and going to bring them in.
They've got too much talent for that not to happen. Yeah,
I will say this. I definitely see Tank getting signed. I see Tank getting picked up before Bo Nix.
It's getting there. It's getting there. College kids getting signed. It's getting there.
Oh yeah, it's definitely getting there. MAC school or a Pac-12. More than likely a Pac-12, I would think, especially with all that's going on out there. You got Dan Lanning making his way out to Oregon, so that's a fresh face out there. You got Lincoln Riley out at USC. Now, granted, he's going to be picking up quarterbacks because that's supposedly his specialty. But I mean, this is also the same guy that groomed and brought up Kennedy Brooks, who is a stud. So
yes,
we shall see. I mean, maybe he winds up out at USC with old Lincoln Riley. So with old T-Bow. So we shall see.
The one lie he didn't tell. Guy. Right?
Yeah, the one lie he didn't tell. But Sean is dropping nuggets. Ladies and gentlemen, brother Sean Spencer, one of the multitude of very talented Let's Talk Football family of hosts, and the guy that hosts the most shows out of anyone in the Let's Talk family, Let's Talk Football family of shows with Let's Talk Football tonight, which I'm sorry I missed, brother. We were doing show prep. I am going to go back and watch that replay because I know Janae gave you the business. And I know you gave the business back about the comeback and the race. I know you did. So Let's Talk Football, Washington Football Weekly. Let's Talk Football. Let's Talk Fantasy Football, and the Roundtable with Diversity to Delilah, Nick's Picks, et cetera, et cetera. So he's doing it. He's doing the doggone thing. That's that. You're my hero. Tell you like dude said at the end, like the dude said at the end of Mr. Mom, honey, you're my hero.
Well, since Sean's dropping nuggets, let's get an opinion from him about it. Should there be a limit on the amount of a player can transfer? What say you, Sean? What you got?
Oh, and tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, yours truly will be hosting Let's Talk Football, the Roundtable. I will be guest hosted for Sean, who will be unavailable for comment tomorrow evening. So I will be on with Delilah and Nick, and we'll be talking pro football. It'll be my first show that's been 100% pro football so far this season, and we'll be talking about some other things as well. So go ahead and ask your question again, Colin. He said.
Well, no, I was just asking Sean. Okay, sorry. I was asking his opinion on the amount of times a player can transfer. Should there be a limit on a player could bounce around?
And I know there's not a limit right now. I'm on the fence about that because the transfer portal,
when was it created? Has it always been there? Because I'm hearing about it for like a lot a lot of now that I hadn't really, not that I, maybe it's because I wasn't paying attention, but I haven't heard a lot about it in years previous, but in years past. But we're hearing a lot about it the past couple of years,
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I could not speak to that because I knew that students could transfer from school to school. I did not know when the portal itself was created. But we're about to find out because I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and have Sean join us here in just a second.
Oh, cool.
We're gonna shoot him the link so he can come on and we can answer these questions. And we can have him.
He has a wealth of knowledge in that little cranium of his.
Oh, that's the reply button. I'm replying to myself. I'm like, why is it not forwarding? I'm hitting the reply button. Hang on, Sean. I am not. I happen to right now not be tactically and technically proficient, but we're gonna fix that.
While you're doing that, 1 second, sir. I'll be right back.
So those of you that are just joining us, welcome to This Week in SEC Football. I am one half of the host from the show. I am Mr. Fingers coming to you from Zagnif Live. That guy over there, he'll be back in just a bit. That is the brother from another, Colin P. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you courtesy of, if it opens up there, Envision Social Media, which gives you the opportunity to empower, create, sustain. They are your one-stop shop for all of your social media platform problems. Reach out to them today at www.envisionsocialmedia.com. Thank you so much for being a segment sponsor. Appreciate you, sis. That my homegirl Janika. Sean, you should have the link in your box. So come on.
And I'm back. I'm sorry. I thought I heard DoorDash again, but I did not. So thank goodness nobody was throwing stuff at me.
Oh man, nobody. You didn't get hit with the mustard, huh?
No mustard. No mustard.
I'm thinking he got the link. He'll be on in just a minute. Well, while we're addressing that, I mean, out of these guys, I can be honest with you. I see Dylan, Gabriel, and I definitely see Bigsby. I definitely see them having some success. They have shown the potential for success. It's hard to be successful when you're in a dysfunctional program.
Right.
It really is.
Oh yeah.
It really is. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you're in a craptastic program or you're in a program that,
I was gonna say on the flip side of that, it's good that they have that kind of avenue to get out of an unsavory, situation that they can, the kids can get out if they're not, in the premium spot they need to be in,
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest though. Let's be real about this. Part of this is these guys all want to be pros. Okay.
That's the end game, yeah.
That's the end game, to make it to the league.
Yep.
There are currently 1,606 active roster spots in the NFL. That's it. 53-man roster, 32 teams, 1,606.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, the number of people that play football from Pee Wee to Pop Warner to high school to college,
right,
the number of kids that make the cut grows smaller.
Absolutely.
Because you might be the most talented kid in Bug Tussle, but then you get down to Bug Tussle State, you can't make the roster, and then you got to go across the state lines,
right,
and go play for what's the school from the Water Boy?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you got to go down there and play. You got to go down there and play with Bobby Boucher at the community community college down there in Louisiana. The
Mud Dogs. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the Mud Dogs. You got to go play for the Mud Dogs down in Louisiana, and there are only so many spots on the college team, and there's only so many of those guys. That Sean's in the green room now. I'm gonna have him come in a minute. Well, actually, I'll bring him in now. There's only so many slots on a D1 team. There's only 130 teams in the FBS division. Okay. He's laughing. What'd that do? What'd that do?
No,
another frozen.
When I see Sean, I gotta do this. Make sure the screen's not froze.
Right.
Hey man, before you jump in this conversation, I just want to say. I watched that game yesterday. It looked like I gotta say, even though you didn't get the W, they did not go down without throwing some haymakers.
Oh yeah. Oh no doubt. I was rewarded for watching the whole thing because at halftime I was ready to throw the remote at the TV, throw the TV out the window, and keep moving. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna stick with it. And hey, they played their butts off in the second half. So
at least
that's all you can ask for.
It was one of your older TVs, though, not the new one that Cat got you, right?
Oh, no. It was the new one that was about to go down. I was like, we're not going to have anything nice. We're not going to have anything nice on this.
Well, we can't have nice things. Get it out of here.
Why you do this? This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Yeah, exactly. No, it was
kind of like the same way me and Anthony felt about the Georgia-Alabama game. Trust me, I was about to throw something, and my son was here, so I was trying not to throw him. But
here we go.
He told me several times that, Daddy, you're hurting my ears. Daddy, you're hurting my ears. I'm screaming at TV, but anyway, I digress.
Yes.
I have matured as a sports fan.
I have not.
If the game is going south, I just grow very silent and I just watch in silence. And then when it's over, I just turn it off and I just go outside and get a breath of fresh air, come back in and go, well, that didn't work out the way I thought it was going to.
At halftime, we had to play a couple games of Mario Kart just to let me kind of calm down.
Right.
And finally after that, I had to just
take your mind off of it, right?
Exactly. He said, Daddy, you want to play a game? I said, absolutely. Turn this game off.
Yep. No, I get it. But the worst part about it is that they did come back. So you already know. I had already conceded, like, okay, they're gonna give it to me. They're gonna tear me up today. But then we started coming back, and they made me believe. And then I started to actually start believing. Oh, I can't wait. I know what I'm gonna say. Oh, you were up, and now we came back. And then I knew it. And the guy was like, got you. You're still in the race. You're still enduring.
Anthony reminds me of the SEC short by Georgia Hope. Worst thing ever is Hope.
You could do it for the Braves, but you can't do it for me.
No, right?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Oh,
but look,
man.
to get back on college football, to answer your question, the transfer portal came about in October of 2018. So it ain't been around that long.
Very, very new. Okay.
I looked up how many times somebody can transfer. I wasn't successful in finding exactly how many times they can transfer, but it had a lot of interesting literature on it.
Good question, though, right? I mean, like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I didn't think it could happen twice. So to hear, Anthony, you were talking about the guy that transferred Tate Martell.
Well, I think Tate Martell. I think that was pre-transfer portal. But DeJuan Mathis definitely left Georgia, and then went to Temple.
Yeah.
Right. And now he left Temple.
Oh well.
So.
Yeah.
But it goes back to after that, though. I mean, do colleges care how many times a player transfers? You know what I'm saying? Like, it just do they want? Is it any kind of like liability to that college that picks them up? You know, he's going to be going.
Depends on the player. Yeah, it depends on the player. If Bryce Young transfers, obviously they're going to have an issue. You know what I mean?
Right.
One of these studs.
It's kind of like an employee, right? You know, you get employee to bounce around job.
Right.
I mean, it kind of gives you kind of a mentality.
There's so many. That's the problem. There's so many of these guys. That's why, like, even when you guys are saying, "Oh, what if these guys goes elsewhere?" That's why a lot of these guys go to the smaller school. When I say smaller, I mean the MAC, the Mid American Conference, Kent State, Ball State. You know what I mean? Yeah. They'll go to the Pac-12 because they're down, but then maybe the Mountain West or the Fun Belt or the Sun Belt. They'll go to these schools. And where they might not get as much attention, they'll actually be able to have full reins of the offense if they're a quarterback. Or they'll get 30 touches and won't have to share it with anybody if they're a running back.
Right. No, I get that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's sometimes the reason why. Because like you guys said, like, there's, sometimes when you talk about Alabama, Bryce Young is not the only one in that stable of quarterbacks. You know what I mean? We're already talking – 3 teams in the NFL currently are starting quarterbacks from Belichick. That shows the amount of, studs he has in there. And same with Georgia. A lot of these big name schools, they have so much competition that sometimes these guys are like, my dream before when I was coming out of high school is to play here. But now I like you said, a Dr. Pepper commercial. Rico, you see where I'm at on the depth chart.
Rico's time is now.
So he'll go. If I can go to Buck Tussle State and dominate a la Steve Aaron McNair, you know what I mean? And maybe they'll look at me as opposed to I had one good game here at Alabama.
Right.
Yeah.
Any of you guys need a punter? Nah, we good. I brought Dr. Pepper. Welcome to state.
Right. Come on.
But it's here's go ahead with what you were going to say, Colin. I got to put my thoughts.
No, I was just saying I understand all that. I understand the pluses. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind of trying to focus on the being devil's advocate here. I'm not saying that like I'm saying about bouncing. And I agree totally. The player needs to look out for his own interest, where he will fit in, where he will shine the most. I get that. But I mean, at the same point, how does that look? You know, outside perception, whatever have you, if it even does. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just devil's advocate here. So I mean, I'm just saying, like, what it reminds me of, basically, I just said that it's like an employee that bounces job. You put that resume out there. Well, why did you leave this job? Why did you leave this job? Why did you leave?
Real quick,
and if he can say, Anthony, I want to get playing time, then absolutely that's a good enough reason for me.
Real quick, Anthony, like we've seen, the coaches ain't much different.
No.
We've seen that they don't have any loyalty. You know what I mean?
We talked about that.
Did you catch what I said earlier?
No, I didn't know. I just came in after our show. My bad.
There's a possibility. There's a rumor floating that Ryan Day is leaving Ohio State to go coach in Chicago.
Dun, dun, dun.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's just...
But see, that goes back to the coaches and players. That can be in the contract, right?
Exactly.
But I mean, you can't do that to the players.
That's crazy. That's just crazy. Hey, look, and like to your point.
Did you?
Sorry, I was trying to get a video queued up to play it,
right?
And hit the button by accident.
I still don't know what a Ute is.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, but I lost my train of thought because I was starting to laugh at that Utes. I'm about to go watch that movie.
I'm down. Yeah.
Said Utes? What? Yeah, 2 Utes.
So you mean to tell me that you could identify those guys through these bushes, this tree, this rusty screen door, and those glasses? I'm done with this guy. But I think I got my thought process back together. So the other thing that I was talking about right before you came on, Sean, this 1,606 active roster spots in the NFL.
Right.
Period. I don't have the demographics for how many kids are playing at the D1 FBS level right now, or how many kids actively playing high school and prior to that. But if you think about the fact that these numbers are just starting to trend. And also, another thing to consider, a lot of these coaches in the NFL are either children of the baby boomers, or they're in between the baby boomers and Generation X, which is what I think I am. They're in between those generations right there. Yeah. And so they still have that old school mentality, team first, me second.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, of course, that's starting to slowly make their way out. You see what they did with Mike Singletary in San Francisco. He was like, can't play with him, can't work with him, can't do it. He was gone after that. So, but you still got a lot of those coaches that are like that behind closed doors. And God help you if you wind up going to a Pittsburgh where the Rooney family stands firmly behind Mike Tomlin, and Mike says, hey, dude got to go. We can't keep him. He got to go. Yeah, man. So that's my best Mike Tomlin. That's the best I can do. But I got to take my glasses off.
Not bad.
Yeah, you're right. You need a hat. You need to have the hat on with it looking down.
Hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. Put the hat on.
Right.
Well,
anyway,
what was that bad lip reading when he was on that? That was a while ago. Oh my God, I can't remember.
Hadouken to your face. Anyway, no, that was a bad lip reading on Hillary Clinton talking to somebody. Anyway, getting on the beaten path. These guys don't put up with a whole lot of foolishness. They're not that, some of these coaches are. I mean, Ron Rivera, who played with he played with the 85 Bears, right? Played for Mike Ditka. He's not for all the hand holding and singing Kumbaya. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have to do that.
True.
But you guys are supposed to show up every Sunday and play a game that is extremely violent to move that football across that end zone more than the other guy. That's it. That's your goal, and you're supposed to.
And
stop
if things don't go your way,
thing.
you can't jump ship. I mean, that's you there.
Although I can see a big movement coming. Watch this. I'll make a bold prediction. The next 10 years. Watch some of the younger players start rallying a movement with the players union to how long is the initial rookie obligation once they come in? Is it 3 or 4 years?
In pros for the pros?
Yeah,
I think it's 3 or 4.
That
first contract.
Squad or active squad? Or is there a difference?
No, active on the roster. Like I think
active.
Like if you're on the roster, if you make the 53-man roster, is what 3-4 years, right?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Watch some of these younger players start pushing the Players Association to push it back to like 2. Because you got a whole generation of kids coming through. It's like they play for a team 1 year, they don't like it. I'm going someplace else because coach won't let me play, or coach won't give me the touches I want, and they're going to expect that same treatment when they get into the league.
Yeah, and that's why you should say that, because that's kind of the world. I mean, that's everything in the world going on right now. Like, I don't like what I like. I have to go. I can do this. There need to be, in my opinion, there needs to be limits. I'm saying, like,
right?
Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, like, limits that make sense. I mean, I like the stupid limits, but I'm saying, like, limits that makes. Give me like a amount of time you can do this. I mean, you can't just be balanced.
It can't be unlimited. Yeah, it can't be unlimited. But even to that point, everything is getting younger. Everything is getting younger. We talk about the old name coaches. A lot of them are being pushed out. This is Coach K's last year. Roy Williams of college basketball just left a year ago. Everything is getting younger. There was a time. Yeah, right. There was a time when it was absolute blasphemy to even acknowledge a freshman in the Heisman race, and we had 2 of them. Okay, like let that thing sink in. There was when Johnny Manziel won it, and Johnny Football and all that. That was like, it blew people's minds. Now we have 2 guys that are head to head for the number 1, and they are freshmen. Everything's getting younger. And what is every NFL team looking for? The next, Kyler Murray. You know what I mean?
And the coaches are looking for the next Tim McVay, the Kyle Shanahans. They want those younger coaches with the football brains.
Everything is getting younger. We've absolutely seen what happens when some of these younger coaches, they get up and move, and the next opportunity they get. So everything is getting younger. So it's kind of like, this is crazy. And it started with the NBA. I mean, we've seen what happened in the NBA. Remember, at one point you had to play in college, or I don't know if that is now.
One year or 2 years for college, I think it was. What was it?
Yeah.
You got Kobe going out, and then LeBron.
And it's not necessarily that bad for college football, because I believe you have to be 3 years out of high school and before you can leave college. But so it's a little bit more, but at the same time, everything is getting younger. Everything is becoming wide open. Oh, you want to go? Okay, fine. Like,
but then it comes back to kind of a personal, or maybe a well-being conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these kids are playing football because they got nothing else. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to make it to that next level, to make the bag, get the money, and provide for their families. So, I mean, that's another aspect you got to put on it there. I mean, but then again, you look at that, and then they get there and they don't make the the team or whatever. That's another downfall. But I mean, yeah, it's getting younger. I mean, to your point, it's getting younger. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And you're not required to go to 4 years of college, or, you can forego your senior year in college. You can, come straight out of high school. You don't have to go to college. Where does it end? You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, like, you need to have the kids that are young, like you said. You need to kind of let them grow up just a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, they do. They're not ready to go to the pros. They're not.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Get some kind of experiences before you go to the highest level of all.
But
I agree.
I'm almost willing to put money. I mean, I wouldn't be here, but I'm almost willing to put money in about another 4 or 5 decades from now that we might start seeing some stuff like that, where kids are going after their sophomore year.
Okay, I believe it. Yeah. I believe it,
because there's going to be that push. I mean, now let's be honest. From a medical standpoint of view, the adult male body is not. We already know the frontal lobe is not fully developed until 25, but the adult male body does not reach full development until like around 21 or 22.
Well, yeah, 21, yeah.
21, 22-ish in that range, and it could be a little bit earlier or a lot later, but still, you haven't reached that full development stage. I know a lot of these kids, like, I could go play with the pros right now and get scrubbed and get hurt, because you're talking about. I mean, come on, man. Let's think about this for a minute. Could you see Johnny Manziel going into a league straight out of high school and have James Harrison and Terrell Suggs and Ray Lewis all lined up, and what's your boy Apalomalu and some of those heavy hitters in their prime?
Oh, in their prime?
Prime on the other side of the line from him is a kid fresh out of high school?
Yeah.
He'd be he'd still be in rehab right now.
Oh, in high school, yeah, in their prime, no, that would definitely be something.
Yeah.
A lot of well-named quarterbacks couldn't beat them in their prime.
Right.
Yeah. And his size, yes, I agree. Now, this isn't. I don't agree when it comes to those guys that are like, oh, mama, I had a growth spurt at 10, and now I'm 6'11", 350. But like you said, the mental, and that's the thing. That's why that rookie symposium and all that stuff coming in. You need almost like another year of college for these guys that are these rookies coming into the pros, because they get shell shocked. A lot of these kids, they don't know how to handle any of this stuff, and we throw them to the water because we want it. We as media, as we consume it, we're like, oh man, this guy is this age. I mean, look, if you ever go on YouTube and look at like all these videos for, oh, this is the next best thing, this high schooler. You and I have talked, Anthony, you talked about it. Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix, these guys that since like 8th grade have been touted as the next best thing. Oh, yeah. And now it's growing, it's messing with kids' minds. And they're not ready to handle that.
No, there's a kid from my hometown. Colin and I were talking about it. We were kind of throwing around the whole Bo Nix thing. There's a kid from my hometown who is a senior who is committed to Auburn. And the kid is an absolute beast. They won the regional 4A division high school. He's thrown for as a high school senior. Now, mind you, in college these numbers might not be gaudy, but he's a high school senior. 2,980 yards, 32 touchdowns, 3 picks.
Wow.
With a 67% completion rate.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he threw for well over 300 yards in a championship game this past Friday.
Nice.
And you got this stud kid coming in, and Bo Nix might be going, this kid comes in, I might not have a spot. Coach Harsin is probably going, you know what I mean? You hit it right on the head. These kids don't know how to deal with it. Maybe in his head he's going, well, there's this stud kid coming in from Georgia. Coach Harsin might be on the hot seat after the year he's had. He might get pressure to play the new kid. I might wind up on the bench. I'm still trying to get in the league. I didn't have a great showing this year. I need to go somewhere where I can get an opportunity to still play and have people get eyes on me. Now, the reality of the situation is we've seen of all the players that get drafted the most, whether they should be in the league or not, it tends to be quarterbacks. And he's going to get drafted. He might be a second rounder. He might be, if he has a decent season. Knicks, if he has a decent season next year, he might be a late second rounder, unless he just blows the whole world away, and the Jets might pick him up and drop Zach Wilson like a hot potato or what the heck ever. But he's going to get in the league.
I see 4th round easy. Like Knicks is just there's nothing that really his mechanics. There's nothing that really he relies on the run too much. Look, this is what I get from you guys. I didn't know SEC football as well as till this year. And his mechanics are bad. He runs first. It's one read, go. You know what I mean?
It's playground football. I mean, that's like
football. Exactly that. It's draw it up in the sand. Let's see. I just didn't think he wanted to deal. I think you're right. He didn't want to deal with some young kid coming in there and taking his spot. On the flip side, every year it's like, dude, especially the SEC, every year there's 5-star guys coming. This guy's the next best thing. This guy's how many Mr. Georgias or Mr. Floridas have come and done it. And it's just like, man, until you get on that field and do it, like look, let's go to your quarterbacks. JT versus Stetson. If go on paper and like you see how your fan group how they've been, everybody JT. But I'll tell you, I'll go to around the whole country and top five QBs that I'd want to have. Stetson's one of those guys because he sat there and said, "It's team, not me." You know what I mean? Another guy like that, Zach Calzada at Texas A&M when they beat Alabama. You can't measure that inside. You know what I mean?
Man, look at he's under 180.
I forgot to mention he's in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
But yeah, you Zach Calzada. He just announced today he's entering the portal.
And that's the thing. He parlayed this year into that Because before that, nobody knew who Zach Calzada was. You know what I mean? But having that performance that he had against Alabama, you can put that on your resume. Now all of a sudden, Zach Calzada, let's see where he goes.
But see, that's another point. I mean, that you get in the transfer portal, then your name's all over everywhere, so everybody knows your name. Then if it wasn't no longer
right.
That's another point. Great point, Sean. Great point.
We've had quarterback controversy now going on 5-6 years. Eason from Fields, from and Fields, from and Stetson and JT and Stetson.
Who was the one with Stafford? We had one with Stafford too, didn't we?
I forget. I don't think we did because they went hard. Like Mark Richt was not that guy. Mark Richt was like, "This is my guy, and I'm going with my guy." And they went and got that was a big pull because Texas was after him hard. He was a Texas boy, and they went and got him out of Texas. And I got a chance to stand on the sidelines and watch that boy just fling that rock like it was nothing. Flip 75 yards down the field. AJ Green and Mo Massaquoi. Ooh, good God! Could you have seen if he had
no Sean
Murray? Yes,
no Sean Moreno.
Yeah, and go back to our conversations. Fields, that Fields was behind from when he showed his behind in a good way at the Rose Bowl. Against Oklahoma, came in there with ice in his veins. Just came in and didn't look like a freshman, and then Fields saw the writing on the wall or what have you. And then I'm sure there's some other things in the news that had happened probably to go to his decision as well. But I mean, where do you go? He went to Ohio State. There are success stories in like moving to different types of teams.
True,
but a lot of those. But do you think that a lot of those are few and far between? Because look at what's happened with the transfer portal this year. T.J. Finley leaves LSU, goes to Auburn, winds up backing up Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Tate Martell leaves Ohio State, goes to Texas Tech, can't make the roster at Texas Tech because he was supposed to be the heir apparent behind Haskins. But then Fields is coming, and he's like, nah, he's not gonna come here and take that from me. And then he's like, oh shit, he's good. I forgot we try and keep things clean here. So
PBS in there.
Yeah, but then he's like, oh snap. Then he transfers to Texas Tech, can't make the roster at Texas Tech. Now he's at UNLV, and I don't even know if he's even still in the program at UNLV. So
a lot plays into it because, like you said, there are some situations where they're going to a team that's already stacked, and you're just a good player on an already stacked team, like Justin Fields when he went to Ohio State. But then you also go to your boy. This is the guy you put me on to, Anthony. Tanner Mordecai.
Who
went from Oklahoma and then goes to SMU. And SMU, he's almost a world beater. Like he's a stud QB there. Giving them a winning record, doing pretty solid, and he wouldn't have got that attention. Or speak on it.
Yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is you just touched the point that I was going to make with that. A lot of these guys want to enter the transfer portal and hope to get picked up by a marquee program. I want to leave Auburn and go to Ohio State and go to Michigan or go to Clemson or go to Texas or go to USC. They're not looking at maybe if I go to one of these small schools and ball out.
But Mordecai did that.
I'm going to go to a small school and ball out.
Yeah.
And I might go from a low second round, mid third round to a high second round pick. And a high second round pick, generally those guys normally wind up making the cut as long as they don't crap the bed when they get to camp. So I can
do the same thing. Stetson did the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he transferred. He went to JUCO and then he came back.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that therein lies the rub. Now, here's the question I want to ask you. We're going to get to the house divided in a minute with the transfer portal. I have noticed a trend that is rolling along with the transfer portal, and it is the influence of the athletes' parents with regard to. Now, granted, at 18, 19 years old, you still wet behind the ears, and so you look to your parents for guidance. But how much do you think of a role you think those parents play in? Well, he's not letting you play. We're just going to get you someplace else. You get what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you knew you're holding a lottery ticket, what would you do with the lottery ticket? You know what I mean? You'd hold it. You make sure you protect it. You make sure you get all the best out of it. Let's be honest. You guys, Colin, you mentioned it earlier. A lot of these guys, football is everything. That's it. And not just for them, but for their family, for everybody involved, getting them out of said situation. Football is it. And so some of these parents see that. We go back to Cam Newton and how his uncle and how the father and all of them came in and said their piece. LeVar Ball's prime example. But at the same time, these guys are in here because they're like, listen, this guy has rare ability. He is sought after by X, Y, and Z. Yes, I'm going to sit here and put my 2 cents in because, and they lead on exactly what you said, Anthony. The fact that I'm the adult. I know what's best for my offspring, my, whatever. So I'm going to say, even if they don't, even if they got dollar signs in their eyes, they're still like, I know what's best. And sometimes in some cases it works. Yeah. But I think that, like in the case of RG3 in Washington, where his dad wants to come in and say and talk and all that nonsense, sometimes it's just like, bro.
But that leads into the conversation, Anthony. The rumor, I don't know if you saw that, but whatever. The reason JT's not playing is because he was cleared by the University of Georgia, but his parents didn't want him to play because he's not 100% enough for them. That is the rumor. Yeah. Now there have been several people that are privy to the situation that have insider information that people that know people that know.
Everybody always says they got inside information.
Sources or anonymous
sources. When COVID broke last year, people was talking about, I got an inside source at the hospital. Man, your cousin work as a janitor. Shut up, sit down. So,
the walls have ears, bro. I mean,
right? They do. Now. They absolutely do. But to stretch that out a little bit more, JT's parents were like, no, we want to make sure our kid is 100% healthy. So they brought in their personal physician. And then based on what the personal physician said,
I get it.
The personal physician said, JT's not ready to play. So then JT was like, I'm not playing. And supposedly that pissed Kirby off. Exactly. So Kirby's like, you can sit your ass down.
Mm-hmm. And then he about near lost himself a job. Because I think I'd like to say, regardless of what happens in the next 1 and hopefully 2 games, Stetson he's won the job. You know what I mean? Now I don't know. You guys have talked about,
Stetson won that job a long time ago.
I understand. But I'm saying coming into next year, though. I'm coming into next year.
Well, that depends on whether or not he goes now while it's draft. Like, I think he should go now because his draft stock is going to be a little bit higher. I know he had a couple of miscues, but we see what happened to Jake Fromm. Jake decided to.
I think he needs another year, though.
Yeah. I say, where do you think he gets drafted this year?
I don't know. Well, let me finish that thought, and I'll think about it when I finish that thought. We see what happened to Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, his star was hot. Mm-hmm. The year after, was it the year he went to the SEC championship? I think it was. The following, because we went back after the national championship game. Yeah. That was the year he should have took off and gone to the draft. He came back for that last year, dedication to the team, blah, blah, blah. Wasn't as great as he was the previous 2 years. And then there was a whole thing with Justin Fields leaving and showing out at Ohio State. And so his draft stock kind of came down. So in my mind, even though he's not a world beater right now, I think his draft stock is high right now because next year you got Vandergriff. You still got Vandergriff and Beck. You got the new kid coming in, and I think Arch Manning graduates this coming summer too, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to bring him in. So what happens if Kirby pulls a major coup and brings in Arch Manning? You think he's going to have the mailman play if he's got the grandson of Archie Manning, the nephew?
He will. I mean, he's not listening. He's not listening to everybody touting on JT right now. I mean, like he's staying with it. He's staying with his. He's staying with the mailman. That's what he should.
I'm just saying. I think that
I'm not saying it's not gonna happen. I'm saying like I would be surprised if it does.
You say what you want to say. The rumors about Kirby and Nick and the whole SEC championship game. Kirby is not really one to bow to public opinion, but I can guarantee you, if he manages to pull Arch Manning, that athletic director is going to say, "You will play that young man." There's no way you're not playing that young man.
He's always had problems with front office. You know that.
That's ticket revenue. That's ridiculous record ratings. That's you know what I'm saying. That's whatever. Right. I mean, hell, we could start doing pay-per-view. Did you know the University of Oklahoma had the audacity to have pay-per-view games?
Who were they playing?
The audacity. Big 12 games. Oh, and it wasn't Bedlam, and it wasn't Baylor or none of that. It was like they were playing some scrap team like University of Kansas University, something like that.
A game that would be on SEC Plus network.
SEC Plus
on a Friday night. during rush hour, 4 p.m. kickoff on a Friday while people in their cars driving home.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think the question is, I think we can ask how good, he's got to get Stats is going to have to get a good team in the pros, because I think the question becomes, how many of the rest of your team is leaving? How much of that defense is leaving? Are they all staying for another year? Is this all going to be a comeback, a run it back tour next year? Or are some of those guys seniors? And then it's kind of like, we got to retool more than just the quarterback.
Well, I'm pretty sure Big Baby's leaving. He's a senior, even though he's got that extra year due to COVID. I mean, if he doesn't leave this year, I don't know what's going on with him, because he's got the Outland Trophy, the Bednarik Award. He's got the giant groundswell of public opinion behind him for Heisman voting. By the way, he finished 9th in Heisman voting.
Mm-hmm.
Just overall, this is a year for him to go. And I don't see him as a high first rounder, but I see him as a first rounder.
Yeah.
So I know he's going. I could see Stetson maybe a late second rounder at this point in the game, and that wouldn't be a bad thing, because he wouldn't necessarily go to a Jacksonville Jaguars or New York Jets. Like, he could probably wind up at a Tampa Bay underneath a Tom Brady. Or
do you think he's that good to be late second?
I don't know.
And to put context to it, Kyle Trask was late second last year, and Kyle Trask he balled out last year for Florida.
Yeah, he balled out, but he also
not wins losses, but stats wise, he had Pitts, so he was and he had Kadarius Toney, but they had that offense was through the roof.
I don't know. You know what? It's a crapshoot. Going in the draft is a crapshoot, because you could bring the whole gang back together and entirely crap the bed that season, and nobody gets drafted high. So, but it's a crapshoot, and for him, while the groundswell of public, while all eyes are on him, and they're the number one team in the nation, and they're contending for the national championship, I think if they win the playoff and they go and they play whoever they play, more than I want to say Cincinnati so bad, but I can't. We can't count out the Chief. We can't. No. Not until all zeros are on the clock. But let's just say they play Cincinnati or they play Alabama, and they have and they either win convincingly and he leads them to victory, or it's a close slug them out, and it just whoever happened to have the ball last when the clock runs out. I think his draft stock. Plus all of the controversy has put eyes on him. So I think what happens in these next 2 games, if he's got a good showing, I think that pushes him a little further up on people's boards. Like somebody is looking for a serviceable second stringer.
I just don't think we've seen enough from him, and I think the problem is unfortunately, I think the problem is your defense. Your defense has been so great all year long that I don't think he's never really been in that situation that really made him prove himself outside of the Alabama game. Like looking back at it, none of those teams really made him like fight for it. They had that little stat in the fourth quarter that said, he's throwing the most passes in the fourth quarter in the SEC championship that he has all year long. He hasn't been in the game because the games have been over. And that's it. That's a credit to your defense. But sometimes it's also the detriment, because it's kind of like he hasn't had any of those situations. I think that's where he might need an extra year. But at the same time, I think you're right. I think his stock is never going to be as high as it is right now. And you got to just parlay that. Right? Yeah, you got to parlay that into it.
Well, and if I can interject, I mean, like the beginning of the Alabama game, he completed passes to 9 different receivers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that, I mean, he was good. And that when we were up 10-0, then automatically, put the clip up. Bama doesn't win.
Here, oh man, doggone it, you beat me to it. By the way, folks, those Bama Does What Bama Do shirts, we've revamped them and they look fire.
I love them. Sean, you see the new ones?
Oh, with the Oregon Trail ones.
No, that's the one that's the Oklahoma one. We did.
I want to see. That was hilarious.
We did a new with a new. It's Bama Does What Bama Do, and then it's got the elephant at the bottom. It's got a charging elephant.
Oh, I like that.
It's on an all black background. It's
Definitely Colin P approved. Absolutely.
Yeah. But what was that? Here's the one I was gonna give you.
Bama Does What Bama Do.
we go.
I'm trying to give you the lead up there. How would I say it?
But the reason that I was going to say this is a good year for Stetson to go out is because there's not a huge quarterback class coming out this year, but every team needs quarterbacks. And like perfect case in point, you had the Giants were down to their third string. They were getting ready to have Fromm play, but then Glennon was able to play. With the amount of injuries we've had to starting quarterbacks and potentially the number of quarterbacks that may be retired. Well, I know Big Ben is more than likely going to retire, but they're Cam's probably Cam needs to sit down. I'm sorry. They called Cam Newton. And the number turned out to doo. The number you've dialed is no longer in service. Hey,
he was back for a minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Well, look, hey, stats wise, he's still contributing for their offense. They don't have CMC, so that definitely plays. But he definitely needs to take. I mean, he's got a year left. Let him get his money.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I say that it's probably not a better time for him to go than this year because there's not a lot of quarterbacks coming out this year, but every team needs a quarterback. I mean, every team needs a quarterback. Yeah. So even if he falls into a Jake Fromm situation where he's on a practice squad and he gets pulled up, I think he'll get picked up. I do. Maybe I'll revamp that. Maybe late second, early third, ish. But I think he'll get picked up because those.
Like I said, I was impressed the turnaround he made.
I love your face right now, Sean. Sean's like, I'm not. Sean's like, I don't know.
If he goes higher than fourth, I'll be very surprised. It is nothing against him. It's just. And you don't want to go higher.
I'm doing the Sean Spencer right now.
Look, I'm telling you.
I'm sending a good juju to the mailman.
I'm just telling you, man.
Hey, look.
I want him to get paid. I want the man to get paid.
Here's the analogy. When is the mailman's number one time to shine? Skip Bayless, the number one time that a mailman shines is between Thanksgiving and Martin Luther King Day. And right now, we happen to be between Thanksgiving and Martin Luther King Day. And there's only one mailman in all of Division I college football. His name is Stetson Bennett. 5'4", gotta wear stacks in his cleats so he can come out there like the escalator like me, so he come up slow. Anyway,
there you go. There you go.
I had to get that out, but yeah, that's go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Now I said always delivers the mail. Maybe not on time. Anyway,
it gets there.
It gets there. It's not in the middle of the street, but it's in the mailbox. Not on the porch. It's in the middle of the mailbox. But anyway, no, I mean. What impressed me about him is the 180 that he turned from last year. Like he has some struggles.
Oh God, yeah.
Now he's he's balling out. I mean, of course he's still got the struggles with underthrowing balls and this, that, and the other. But I mean, he's got the feet. Like he's out. He's gotten away from some incredible difficult situations in the backfield. You know what I'm saying? And when he had to, because our offensive line is nowhere near our defensive line. But I mean, he made plays. He's not a Bo Nix, though. He's not a Bo Nix. Like, he's not going to go out there and try to circus plays. You know what I mean?
He reminds me of – he's more of a Steve Young than a Johnny Manziel in the pocket. Like, Steve Young surprised a lot of people. Steve Young surprised a lot of people with how well he could scramble. So, he doesn't run all the time. He doesn't have any design run plays, but when he's got to, he can make happen when
in a perfect world, you'd have JT's arm and the mailman's legs. I mean, in a perfect world, that would be what we want. But unfortunately, they can't be in the field at the same time.
Now whose mustache would they have? Because we've seen them both with the porn stash. Who's got the better porn stash?
I was surprised. I was surprised to see what JT looked like. I was like, oh, without his helmet on, I was like, oh, that's you? You the 5-star? All right, man.
Actually, JT kind of looks a little bit like Doc Holliday from Tombstone. I'm your Huckleberry. When he grows that mustache out.
Absolutely.
Why
working on the ball too, so
I can see him in practice right now. It's like, him and the DBs are arguing. It's like, hey man, you short through that pass, you short through that route, so you cut me off and get my reps. It's like, why Keely Ringo? If for 2 seconds I thought we weren't friends anymore, why I couldn't bear it.
He reminds me of Tom Brady, man. He's a good looking. He's the the good looking guy on our team. Yeah, I suppose.
Well, that's my 2 cents on that. And honestly,
let's get right on by, man.
Nah. It's just we've been on the Stetson for a minute, but the topic ties in. This house divided. the fan base is still, I mean, the groundswell. Fortunately, there's not been a lot of groundswell from the fans to fire Kirby. I think, oh boy, I took a peek at it earlier today. He's up to like $150, like literally $150 of his $15 million goal to fire.
On the GoFundMe? Oh shit.
But so unfortunately, nobody else is jumping on the Ozzy Osbourne crazy train with him on that journey. But it's still, that's been our biggest thing. And I think, I mean, what do you guys? Well, you know, Colin, you and I talk about it all the time. Sean, what are your thoughts on this thing, man?
Well, I mean, I think, I mean, I posted a couple of times in the group that is called Georgia Football Fans, and it's amazing to me how it seemed to me like how happy. I mean, it seemed to me people were legitimately happy that Stetson had a bad showing against Alabama. Like, we actually lost that game. They finally got that "I told you so" moment. I mean, it was amazing to me how that happened. You know, I don't understand fans, quote unquote fans, that are actually happy and wishing for a bad showing from a quarterback of your quote unquote, you're a fan of that team. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't understand why. I mean, we were undefeated till that game. You know what I mean? Stetson, you know, regardless of how he plays, regardless of the mechanics, regardless of how you think he is, or personally, you know, your personal opinion, does not matter. The dude won. You know, we were undefeated, and he kept his job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But everybody, I mean, JT, I mean, who can? I mean, JT may be the better player, but who's winning the ball game? I mean, you know, you can't. There's not even a comparison.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he came out.
He was going to mess up. He was due to mess up. Like, I mean, that was a great run.
You're right.
Like, he was due to have a bad game. Now that I'm gonna go off kilter here a little bit. I mean, that game it freaked me out because I mean, like, Georgia's never played that bad. Bama's never played that good. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I mean, I'm not into the conspiracy, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It was something weird for me to see. You know what I mean? Bryce was just
and that's the reason why Cincinnati's gonna win. Because Alabama's never played that good. Let's go.
They haven't, dude. Bryce had not played that good all year.
Right.
And
hey, Sean. Hey, Sean.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
To that point, like Sean, you understand, we talked about the secondary Georgia's going to get exposed, and they did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Several times. But I mean, it helps when you have bunch of coverage. I mean, like, you have a wide open dude up in the corner there. I mean, like, you know, even Kirby addressed that. But I knew all year that if we played the right team, I mean, I figured it was Alabama, but I mean, we're going to get exposed in secondary wise. And that dude went, he went his own. What are we talking about? I hate his own. I mean, like, you should be mad against Alabama all day. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. And look, me personally, y'all know I watch all football. I watch all, you know, Pac-12, Mountain West, all that stuff. I watched J.C. Daniels a couple years back. Look, in my mind, I don't know if y'all remember Matt Barkley. You remember that guy? He reminds me of that. Okay? Yeah, he might have been a world beater in high school. Yeah, he might have been highly touted coming into USC. He ain't this amazing guy. Is he technically, if you rated them next to it, is he better than Stetson? Yeah, maybe. Maybe if you scouted him, yes. But it's not about who's better on paper. It's about who has put in the work and who the team loves, which is Stetson. So that's ridiculous. And that's, I've seen that happen, what you're talking about, Colin, with fans are just like, oh, they don't even care about the game. They don't care about that you've been dominating all year. They just, oh, this guy's not playing, so I'm going to have an issue. Man, go cry me a river. I don't want to hear it.
I mean, like, you see it live, and then you see that pick six for Stetson, and you see a whole thread on.
That's ridiculous.
I'm like, no. I'm like, you're just sitting there waiting on him to mess up, and then you go, you know, get your face from the cloud or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. What that boils down to is it's a whole lot of. There are some people that we've seen it time and time again. There's a ever growing sect of people that are the "I told you so" people. In my opinion, is the only one that's right people, and they could not wait. They were happy. They were like, see, I told you.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And that's hard for me.
It didn't disappoint either. Anthony, you saw it at the same time I did. It did not. I mean, it happened right off the bat.
And it's the same thing every year. It was Jake Fromm before that. It was Stetson versus JT last year. It was that whole mess.
So I was talking to the admin of that Georgia Bulldog fan page, Anthony, and you might have saw the post, whatever. They actually had to, like, you cannot say the Jake Fromm or Justin Fields. They had to, if the post started with or contained that, it was gone. It got so bad that the admin had to delete it. Like I don't know how he did, but he explained that to me. He said, "Dude, we had problems with JFs, like Jake Fromm and Jay Fields." And like, whoa! I said, and he said, "We're getting to the point where JT is getting." He had problems. Basically, he said, "Had problems with Jays."
Yeah, Sean, it got real bad. Like people were threatening each other and going in each other's DMs and going into DMs and talk about pull up, and race got involved, and I hope your mom dies in a car crash and give me your address. I will pull up. Like they were going hard like that. Man. And it got to the point where the admins were like, no, enough. If you all can discuss this like rational human beings, we all have a right to our opinion. That's one thing. I'm doing the Chris Rock fingers. I noticed I'm doing the Chris Rock fingers right now. But if you can discuss this like rational human beings, we could talk about it. But you guys have gotten to the point where
aren't y'all 12-1? Aren't y'all in the playoff? Like we're 6-6.
JT's not starting. JT, it don't matter. JT's not starting.
We're talking about a couple seasons ago when it was Jake Fromm versus Justin Fields.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this year. Oh, my bad.
No, it hadn't gotten that bad because we're still in the running.
Okay, I was about to say. I was like, wow.
But yeah, people were literally talking about pull up.
Like, wow, seriously.
I'm like, yo, y'all go like that. That's why, like, I don't do a whole lot of. I don't do a whole lot of roasting in those groups. I might roast other people's teams, but when it comes to roasting people in a group about the same team, I just let them do all that.
You would like to say it's trolls, but it's real people doing real stupid stuff.
Right, you know right.
It's not, maybe there's some of it, but it's real deal most of the time. It's just
look, Anthony, they came after you when you said you were an analyst. So I know they're gonna come after everybody for the other stuff. Like,
you an analyst? Okay, what network you work for?
Show me your credentials. What?
Show me your creds. Let's see some stats. All right, how many fumbles is it gonna take? How many fumbles is it going to take for us to beat y'all? How many sacks is it going to take for Kentucky to beat y'all? I'm like, y'all, really?
Don't you know stats don't matter?
Is that serious? Is that what we doing now? Right. Like in the purest sense of the word, analyst means somebody who takes and looks at all the numbers and goes, based on these numbers I see, I think this will happen. Based on what I've seen on the screen that I watch every week, this is what I think will happen.
Somebody a lot of money. You must have said something that's lost a lot of money to somebody.
That guy when I was like, man, all right, y'all, I'm gonna back away.
But it reminds me, Sean, about what you were saying about Ohio State, or was it Ohio State, Michigan, or that area up there? People get crazy. You know what I mean?
They get ridiculous.
We had documented about it. Every sign in Athens now has no M in it. So just to let you know.
Oh yeah. I saw Katie said something to Anthony about that. Yeah. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Feels good for your team not to be in it.
That's so stupid. Like, is that what we're doing now?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
But then people trash them like, "Oh, you copying us?" Come on, man.
Yeah. People.
Is bigger than this, man.
Oh yeah. People copy everything, man. I can't tell you how many times I hear the Red Coat Band plays it, and now I hear Kentucky playing it, and now I hear Florida playing it. And then,
hey, I tell you what, they better not copyright it, not copy it. That damn it does what they will do. I'm gonna raise it up.
Come on now.
You know what? We need to get on that. It's only like I think it's only like $50. I think between me and you, we could throw 25 together. Yeah, to put a copyright on it. Now to trademark it, it's like seven bennies, but I don't know about that. But we can at least copyright it anyway. We talk about how people copy traditions. Like for the longest time, the only bands that played neck were HBCUs, Grambling, Southern. The Human Jukebox and the Marching 100. Yep. And now that's LSU's signature song, and they playing it like we was doing this first. Go have a seat. Man, Savannah State was playing neck back in 92 when I was in school back there. Neck came out. The matter of fact, the history behind neck It came out on the Word Up album from Cameo when it was released back in 1984. How about that, LSU Marching Tigers?
Run, tell that, right?
Run, tell it. Hey, why don't you go tell Coach Kelly to tell his family? Go tell my family.
My family.
Me and my family. The 54th is the onlyest family I ever know.
Oh my Lord, Lord. Mm-hmm.
Took the animals in the ark 2 by 2. When you bring them elephants, what they do? I ain't cleaning up after them. How about you? But said, man, I better get myself some covers for my shoes. My Lord, 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 Lord. That ain't how I go.
That ain't how I go. If this is my great getting up morning.
That ain't how the song go. That was the DJ Khaled remix.
We the best.
Another one. Oh man. So yeah. No.
Anthony, you said we'd be good for about an hour when we were talking earlier. We busting 140 right now. So
yeah, I know.
See, that's what happens when Sean shows up. It becomes a day.
It becomes a party.
A party.
As long as he's not doing this, we all
yeah,
good.
Right. Not doing this.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is the new pose for the this week in SEC football.
Yep.
You was like that for like at least 10 minutes. Stop talking, but we can still hear you. But
no,
did you show Sean the new quote or the new catchphrase from your boy right here?
Oh, he saw that one. You talking about? Yeah, he saw that one. That's
the lie he didn't tell.
Yeah, that's the one with that's the one with the Oklahoma with the chuck wagon on it.
Oh yes, I saw that. Yo, I love that because my boy said it was the Oregon Trail, Bobby. And I was like, oh damn, that does look like the Oregon Trail. Oh snap!
That was a lie he didn't tell. I said, well, he didn't tell the whole. Yeah, he lied his ass off. But the only thing the lie he didn't tell was he was going to LSU.
Man, I got to get to chopping up some videos so we can get some more of these shorts out here, so we can get some of these hot takes, these good moments on the show in here. God, man, yeah. Oh, by the way, y'all, yes, we do have 2 new shirts. We got 2 new shirts. We got the Bama Does What Bama Do. We got the remix, the Bama Does What Bama Do, and we also have, for those of you that are Oklahoma Sooners fans, we did not leave you out. We know that a lot of you are very upset about the great Lincoln Riley leaving under the cover of darkness, much like the Irsay family taking the Colts and moving them to Baltimore in the middle of the night.
Middle of the night, Mayflower.
Yeah. But no, man. I got some furniture coming. We gonna put some other stuff in there that they had told me to come and get the other furniture and take it out, and they was gonna bring the new furniture in the morning. That's what they said do. So all of y'all can come in the morning, and everything will be here, and the receptionist will still be sitting at the front desk. That's what they told me. But we know that you all are upset about how Lincoln Riley left. So to commemorate, we came up with a nice little shirt. You can't see it here on the live broadcast. I'll edit it in later. It should be up on the screen right now. Beautiful, wonderful little shirt you can go pick up over at our spread shop, which is Zagnif-apparel.com/myspreadshop.com. I'm surprised I can remember that because I can't remember the names of coaches and stats or nothing like that. Well, I guess it's all about the money. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Sorry.
we got to talk a little bit more about Georgia so I can come up with some nonsense about Georgia. So we get a T-shirt about Georgia at least. We got 2 teams. 2 teams today, Georgia. We got 2 teams. Catchphrases. Teams I don't even care about. I got 2 catchphrases for them. Man.
Hey, well, look. It happens though, but it's got to be natural. It can't be forced. It's got to be natural.
No,
I know. You know what I noticed? What I noticed, Colin, is most of your sayings come out after about a 3rd can of whatever it is that is you drinking. Oh wait, he froze.
That's absolutely right. The first catchphrase ever, I was stone cold when you said. No, what got me is whenever we were just talking. The first episode I was on. I'll be honest with you. We were just talking. It's supposed to be in a dry run. And then out of nowhere, Anthony goes, all right, we live in 5 minutes or 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I said, bro, really? And I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, where's my makeup? Where's it? I don't know what's going on. But that's when that came out. I legitimately wanted to say Bama does what Bama does. I wanted to, but it didn't come out that way.
Yeah,
Thank
It was perfect.
Hey, look, that lie he never told damn sure came out. It was like I was watching. I wasn't really counting, but I kept noticing. I was like, he must got a cooler or something over there. Because every time I turn around, I just hear click, click.
No, only 3. I mean, it was 3.
Yeah, like round about that third one, it's like we get a jewel. Yeah. I'm gonna start keeping a graphic every time you crack one. I'm gonna say it's gonna have a thing. And then 1, the number 1's gonna pop through. Then the next time that was 2, 2. Something.
He's heating up.
Yeah. Oh man, not the NBA Jam. He's on fire.
They just put the flame up.
Had the colonisms. As soon as you're he's on for 3.
Duncan for 3.
Let's go.
No, NBA Jams was the bomb, yo. When you got on fire, you could just shoot from like the stands.
Absolutely, shoot from the locker room.
If you knew the code if you knew the code with the joysticks and stuff that had the big head players, like, oh, how you get the big head players with the new J's on? Oh. By the way, neither one of y'all spent the whole day sitting around trying to see if y'all got them Jordan 11s, did you?
I know somebody did.
Okay. Though. Yeah. No, dude. You know what? I'm total sidetrack. Apparently, ladies and gentlemen, we're done talking football for right now. But I went Christmas shopping on Saturday, and I hadn't been in the mall in a minute. And I went in the lids. I went to check out some of the hats and stuff like that. And the Foot Locker was right next to the lids. You normally see the two of them right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
man. What happened to does Foot Locker just not keep shoes in the store like that anymore?
I ain't been.
I've been. They've a lot of the stuff they have that's out. They might have these size that's on the wall, and they might have another one. But a lot of times,
like
is it a COVID thing? Are people ordering online?
No,
I mean,
it's a redesigning of the store, and I think they're doing more e-commerce. And then you got all the sneaker apps now, where when the new stuff releases, you buy the stuff on the sneaker apps.
Yeah.
But I went in there and I was shocked because it was literally I stopped counting at about 25 pair, and I was almost done counting because there was like a small 1 foot on this side. There was a big like a 2-footer in the back wall, and then there was like a 1.5 foot on this side, and that was all the shoes they had.
Dude, did you ever go to the World Foot Locker? I don't know. We had one in Jacksonville. I don't know if there was anyone anywhere else. But it was when Shaq was playing. They had like a glass box, and they had his shoe in there, size 22. That's a big shoe.
Nah, I know when I was in Korea, they had and you know they custom make the shoes in Korea. Like you can show them a shoe and they'll make it for you. It didn't matter what it is. You get a picture and they make it for you cheap. Like when the Jordans were pushing towards $150, you could go in there. You go in there and give Adashi, this right here, please, and he take it and look at it, and he make it, and he can make it for you for $60. Now, they would look good in the club, but don't go out on the basketball court. We used to call them the left out specials because you try and do one of them cuts and you leave the sole over here and your foot on the ground over there. But they had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They had a replica of one of his shoes. Good God.
Wow. I ain't never seen a shoe that big, dude. I was like, whoa. I mean, I'm modest. I'm not having it. I'm like an 11 and a half. I mean, 22? Come on, man.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, him and Kevin
Durant.
Durant.
You know what they say about that, though, right? They got big size.
Yeah. Look, Kevin Durant, the only dude. Kevin Durant is the only dude I know that could do the smooth criminal lean without the special effects.
Smooth criminal.
Right. His feet, dog, I didn't know his feet was that big. Remember the picture that they dropped to him a couple weeks ago, where he trying to look all smooth with the jeans rolled up with his feet out. I was like, "Ooh, wee,
clown shoes."
That's where the term boats came from. Your shoes are that boats.
Good Lord.
Anyway,
we're talking
about shoes now.
Yeah, we talk about you now. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. We're now no longer talking SEC football. This is the Sneakers.com podcast. Thank you for joining. For those of you,
in the message that we were talking about.
Yeah. For those of y'all that tried to get some Jordan 11s this week, gotcha, bitch. No, I'm just playing. But fellas, man, I appreciate y'all. I think this is about a good place for us to wrap it up. We do.
Always a pleasure.
I do appreciate you guys. Sean, as always, dude, the hardest working man in podcasting right now. I will be sitting in for him tomorrow night again on the round table with the lovely Delilah Crespo and the always, we don't know if he's angry or just joking, I want to smoke, Mr. Nicholas Rosario. And we'll be talking all sorts of NFL and fun things. So y'all make sure y'all join us. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, Mr. Fingers from Zagnum Central, the brother from another, Colin P., and the shout out king, the hardest working man in podcasting, who has yet to send me a picture so I can come up with the graphic to design the t-shirt so they can sell some t-shirts. Sean Spencer. This has been this week. What are you? I'm
pointing both up. Oh my God!
I'm trying to point at you, and I'm pointing this way.
Yeah, right. That's the most confusing part.
Give him a round of applause. Yo.
I can get Sean.
See, right.
Mess me up.
Oh, wait a minute. We got it, fellas. Before we go, we got this message. It's just in because I was talking about Quinn Ewers transferring over to Texas. Breaking news just in. It popped in on my Twitter. Hang on. Here it is.
We're back.
Sam.
Yeah, we don't know. We'll see. They got a lot of work to do. 6 straight losses. No, they're definitely not back. Anyway, folks, we appreciate y'all. We're going to get out of here. We will be back next Monday. Tomorrow night, I'll be on. Hey, Colin, if you're not doing anything, you following NFL at all? Or
I mean, we both follow the Falcons. So, I mean, I don't know how much you can say we followed.
Listen, we'll talk after.
You're in the hunt. The Falcons.
I know. I was surprised.
That's what I do.
Tied with us.
I just saw we're in the hunt. But anyway, Anthony, your question. I do have my son, but I mean, I'll pop in.
Okay, yeah, we might have you pop in to talk about the Falcons a little bit. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, me, Sean, Colin, we'll catch y'all next Monday. Holla at your boy.
See you guys.